on this episode of the Grannies.
Why should we care about grandmothers?
They need us. You need me. I am the keeper of the family's life and history. So you better listen to me.
I would hire you because that's a great elevator pitch.
We are not all born into where we are. We come from generations of struggle, of pain, of love, and of survival. So that's why we're all a little weird. And why I am so glad that we're doing this, Grannies, because I am hoping that we can talk grannies into telling, either being interviewed or writing or telling the grandchildren about our lives.
Welcome to the Grannies, everyone, a podcast where we honor the women whose stories have shaped generations. I'm your host, Adesewa Josh, and I'm so excited to begin this journey of legacy, memory, and healing with one of the most extraordinary grandmothers I know.
Oh, thank you. I'm Jane Isay, author, grandmother, and lifelong listener to family secrets and to family wisdom. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with Adesewa as we create a space where older women, especially grandmothers, can speak openly about what they've lived, what they've learned, and how they hope to leave a wonderful legacy behind.
Well, we believe that sharing these stories can heal families, inspire communities, and remind us that aging is not decline, it's death. So we invite you to join us on this beautiful journey.
Well,
Hello.
hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Couldn't be better.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adesewa Josh,
And I'm Jane Isay.
and this is the Grannies. How's it going with you?
Good.
Well, I know it's the holidays and it's a season where we cannot, even if we wanted to, escape our family members and our grandmothers. So I wanted to start by asking, why should we care about grandmothers?
I know from the anthropologists and the historians of the ancient civilizations that the grandma is the person who takes responsibility for the new babies, does all kinds of tasks that keep the family going. When the mama in the cave is having baby after baby and has a million things to do, well, if there's a living grandma or an aunt, these women who are no longer childbearing are free to keep the family going. That's part of human evolution, the evolution of society. And we are now in an era, I call it the American diaspora. Everybody's living everywhere else. And that really began, I think, in World War II here in America, because there was so much prosperity after the war, and people got promotions, and the suburbs were built, and they moved all over the country, and they put grandma in a home. So, and this was a problem because they need us. You need me. Because I have the wisdom, I have the family, I have resources that you don't know about. Some of them might be financial, but most of them are emotional and historical. I am the keeper of the family's life and history. So you better listen to me.
I would hire you because that's a great elevator pitch. But
And the kids, the grandchildren, know it. Because I believe that small children are very, very seriously good observers of the people around them because they depend on those people for survival. And if you are a 4-year-old and you've been having trouble at Christmas, you've been running around, you dropped something, now you're sitting on the couch. You're sad. If grandma comes over, she doesn't have to give you a present. All she has to do is put her arm around you and say, "Are you okay, honey?" That's
soothing.
It's soothing, and it's more important than getting the grandchildren to the ballet. Because all we really want, I believe, in the world is to be loved. Not for our table manners, and not for the many languages that we may learn, but for us, for myself.
Do you think all grandmothers will agree with you that they're there to help raise their older adult kids? Some of them just want to go to Broadway because I think I may have heard some say, "Look, I raised my own children."
I'm not, okay, that is a perfectly legitimate way to be. It's just not for this, what it does is it cuts out a dimension of joy and love that is sitting there on the Christmas table. So and there are many people, I've talked to grandparents who don't want to take care of the children because they want to live their lives. They are totally, it's right, that's fine. I've heard of grandparents when they drive the children to school because both parents are working. They want to be able, they're thinking of charging the kids for their time.
Fair enough.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
We get to be the people we are. We don't have to be angels.
Right.
But every decision we make has a plus and a minus. That's what life is. So on the one hand, there are the grandparents who say, "I'm going to I want to live my life. I'll play bridge. I'll go to the museums and so." And then there are grandparents who sit around saying, "Oh, I can't. I want to be with the children more, and I can't be with the children." And there's always a balance when the kids are. And also the other thing that's happening every day is we're growing and changing. So the little one who used to run and hug my knees, "Grandma, Grandma," is now at the computer, turns and says, "Hi, Grammy," and goes back to the computer.
Okay.
If I'm going to take that personally, I will be in pain. And if I say to myself, "Come on, Jane, they're older now, and they still love you and you love them," you have to change your expectations just the way everybody else does.
Does the opinion of grandmothers matter in the family structure, really?
Yeah. Oh, it does. And that's an interesting question because the more firmly you express it, the more they hate it. The more subtle you are.
That's why I asked.
The more subtle you are, the more they hear it. And I found I learned when the babies are young, we know more about taking care of a baby than they do because we've raised others.
You know that older adults don't like to hear that.
So I could say to the mother, "Hold the baby this way."
Oh my God.
Which makes the mother crazy.
Of course.
Or I could say, "You're doing such a good job."
What's the difference between the two comments?
One makes the young mother feel a little bit competent because when you have a baby in the house, you think you're a failure from the moment because the baby doesn't sleep when you want, the baby throws up. You don't know the baby. You have to get to know this stranger, so you're not confident. If the mom is not confident, the grandma might want to build her confidence. So you say, "That's the most beautiful baby I ever saw." And you feel it because it's yours. The issue for us grandparents is that if we make our children angry at what we are saying to them or to the grandchildren, we may not be so welcome. So that is you just think of the door to your children's house. Who has the key? You don't have the key.
I want us to talk about what makes the relationship between older adults and their parents, and shall I say their grandmothers, difficult, especially in midlife.
Well, here are the reasons. From the from the grown children's point of view, they're in charge. They're doing the best they can. When they hear criticism from their parents, they don't like it, they resent it, they won't follow it. Now this is because they feel they want help, but they don't want criticism.
Does that also work the other way?
Well, yes, and this is the bad spot I'm in, because when they say, "Mom, it's time for you to do this or that," I resent it, but I don't dare be resentful because then they won't call me. So and it's so funny. And sometimes when they say "Mom," and they love me, they're wonderful sons. When they say "Mom," I hear a tone that I used when they were kids. David. So the constant, it's like a stereopticon, 10 different cameras, 10 different lenses. Mm-hmm. Our whole lives are happening past, present, and future when we're with family, which is what makes it so wonderful and sometimes delicate.
So this holiday season,
yes,
again, like I said the other time, is a time where you can't escape family. What are the likely bumps?
What are the bumps?
Anyone who is going to encounter family this season is going to run into, whether as a daughter-in-law or as an older adult, just trying to spend time with family this season. And what can they do to manage those relationships?
Well, there's so much history at every place setting. We've been together all our lives. We have good stories and bad stories running through our minds. I mean, our brains, so fabulous, have stored our lives with everybody. So the first thing we can do is prepare for it and put ourselves in a relaxed frame of mind, remembering that if we've had 35 or 40 Christmas dinners, there are more to come, and nothing is ever over for the time. One of the women in a webinar I run was going home to her family, and there's a member of the family she just doesn't get along with, and she was so anxious about it, Grandma. And she said she had found a saying in a Quaker book of wisdom that said, "May I embody love." And she took that "may I embody love" attitude to her, with her to the holiday. It went fine, because she knew that her attitude, if her attitude was loving and accepting, they would be loving and accepting. And there's nothing you can do you can't change people. You can change yourself. You know, that's a piece of wisdom we hear all the time now.
All the time, yes.
So as an elder, and you might say, if your daughter-in-law overcooks the green beans, you might say, they love it this way. This is how she grew up. She grew up in a family where they overcooked the green beans. It doesn't matter. Have a bean. And for the grown children, who may by now be setting the table for the holiday, they need to be forgiving of their parents. This is not so easy. I still hear, "Mom, why did you do this or that?" And my oldest is 60 years old. And my youngest is 56, same thing. "Mom, why didn't you give me lessons?" My older son says, "Mom," has asked me why I didn't give him therapy when he was a little boy, because he was not like everybody else. He saw things in a different way. And I said to him, "I'm sorry, I thought you were wonderful. You were original." And it came true. I mean, he's building and has built a wonderful life and profession, original.
Right.
But he wanted something else from me when he was a little boy. He wanted something else from him. He wanted to be like everybody else. I happen to think I like original, as you can tell.
Yes, I like original.
And so there are well streams of love and affection and appreciation. We live in a culture where a lot of negativity is promoted. Everybody gets to be angry, everybody gets to be mean. You can put things, you can post anonymously. Anything, politeness is no longer a value.
That's right.
So that old family gathering, which was never as easy as you think, because you've forgotten the bad parts if it goes well, that is more contentious now. They'll argue about politics. At a family gathering last spring, I was not making it. It was Passover. I'm Jewish. And it's a very important holiday for us. And I asked some cousins, the children of one of my cousins, please don't talk about could we have Passover without politics? This is when the Gaza war was on and everybody was tense. I said, let us just experience that holiday. Would it be okay with you? I was the elder, and they did it, and it was so nice. And the love and the positivity came out. So you can say, you can also make a politics-free meal.
But what if it just happened?
If it happens?
Yes, like when
they erupt?
Somebody just erupts on the table and there's this differing opinions and opposite politics.
And anger. Well, as the elder at the table, a grandma might say, I agree with you more, but I see the point you are making. Can we change the subject? Now, that may not work. We're going to talk what we want to talk about. Then you just let it go and you don't insert your own views.
Okay.
And you see if maybe it's between courses, so you can get up and help clear the table. Say, I'm sorry, I need to go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Stay a while. See if you can figure out, or any other method that you as a parent have ever used to calm things down. We all know how to do that. And the most important thing I think for my generation is to take our ego out of it. This is how, Jane, we're at the table now, and this is a really tough moment. Just breathe. Don't be angry. Don't blame this one or that one. Don't blame yourself for having raised such contentious children. If you can keep yourself calm, that will take one explosion away from the table.
Right.
And these are people you love, and they'll get through it. And then if there's a little pause, you change the subject.
Right. And what should we do then?
What?
What
the children do? Everybody, these are lessons in life. I think for my generation, we think we're responsible for everything. It's our fault. It's our benefit.
Right.
So we just need to step back and let it, and say, I love everybody at this table. For the middle generation, depends on who's fighting. Generally, somebody always comes to the Christmas table with a gripe. And you can tell from their face, give them a hug before you sit down. Can you imagine a gripe-free
holiday?
But at the table you can do it. And then when you're ready to kill them, you take a walk. And they say, but it's raining, Jane. And you say, I just love walking in the rain.
In the rain. Oh God, and then if you drove to the holiday, you can just take a drive.
You get in your car and say, make up an errand, gotta go to the drugstore. We need something. We ran out of something.
Is it possible to always love everybody at the table?
I think it probably takes strong drugs.
Okay.
And we all have different feelings. What is wonderful about us humans is that we're complicated, that we We have so many differing opinions. We are not one simple thing, and neither are our animals, by the way. We just haven't studied them as the world is so much more complicated and much more stories and feelings than we accept. And it's useful if you were to accept yourself and say, you know, I really can't. Her tone of voice rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
So that's the fact. But it's not about me, it's about her.
Can you tell me what was the most difficult relationship you had before you became a grandmother with your kids?
In the family?
Yeah.
My most difficult family member was my mother. She had suffered. She came to America as a toddler. Poor Jewish immigrants on the Lower East Side. Her father followed them. She came with her mother brought her. Her father followed 6 or 7 years later. They had a lot of children, all girls. My mother was the oldest, and she was kind of next in charge. And then the parents died in the flu epidemic of 1918, and she then raised her 4 sisters. Then she married my father. They brought them up. It was a very hard life. And when I came, my brother was born first, the first male child in the family. He was going to be a doctor, which he is. And I was an add-on. And she really didn't know. I'm telling you this story with 80 some odd years. I'm 86. I started trying to understand this when I was 5. So it's 81 years of trying to understand why she didn't much care for me. She didn't much care for me. It mattered to her a lot that I not be fat. And her last words to me, we didn't know it was going to be her last words, but I was visiting her in the hospital up here. She was dying, and her last words to me were, "What size are you?"
Why do you think she cared so much about what she looked like? So you could get a husband?
She was short and dumpy.
Right.
And she wanted me to be perfect so that I could get she didn't care how I felt. She cared how I looked. We would go to the theater and be late, because she was always late. And the curtain was just going up. So I put my glasses on so that I could, if there was a second to read the playbill, or I could see, and she would say, we're walking down the aisle to our seats. She'd say, take your glasses off. And that's who she was. And she was a very important person in the city of New York. She did lots of good for everybody else.
How did that shape how you raised your own family and how you related with, you have 2 sons, how you related with the women that came after them, with them?
That's a wonderful question. When each of them, when they brought home the woman, the love of their life, I needed to get to know them person to person. And I did. Without anybody else, and not in the family setting. Woman to woman. I got 2 daughters, and they're wonderful. But this whole child-rearing thing for me was a question of how do you balance your pride and your hopes for them against putting them under too much pressure. In this world, children are under so much pressure, but even 60 years ago. But the saving grace for me was that my father and I got along really well. And he and I shared many values. We both loved reading. My mother had a PhD in psychology, and she wrote a column for the New York Post. She was a person in the city. It's just, she'd raised these 4 girls. What did she need another girl for? And I have learned in the literature, if you have suffered a trauma as a child or as a teenager, and then when you have children of that age, it's hard not to take it out on them, not to be jealous of the fact that they're having a good life when you were having such a hard life. So, and that is, it's a kind of genetics, it's epigenetics. And you see it in cultures where they suffered trauma. So, and she suffered, my aunt she had 4 little sisters. One of my aunts was selling candy in a movie theater at the age of 5. There were no child labor laws. And there were no paychecks. Everybody was doing piecework. And my other aunt was working in a chocolate factory. New York City was a center of candy, just a thing. And everybody was suffering. And when my mother worked, she went to Hunter. She went right from the class to work. She got paid. If she got paid that day, then she could buy food for dinner. And so many of us come from families where this story that I'm telling you, maybe grandma hasn't told that story, but there are we are not all born into where we are. We come from generations of struggle, of pain, of love, and of survival. So that's why we're all a little weird. And why I am so glad that we're doing this, Grannies, because I am hoping that we can talk grannies into telling, either being interviewed or writing or telling the grandchildren about our lives. Because our lives are just gonna fade into the past. And I can tell a story about my mother. I didn't know my grandparents because they died, but my grandchildren, don't know the whole story of my family, of what they experienced and how hard they worked. Immigrants have a very hard time. All of us, all of them. And we forget it. We forget the hardships, and we forget the arc of the generations behind us. And I believe it's a very important thing because it's where we come from. And because if you begin to understand the strength, my mother, she might not have had a lot of energy for me, but she did a lot of good in this world. And she never appeared in the yearbook of her college because she went to work right after. No committees, no clubs, no sports. And this is how they lived. And so if you're a little bit quirky, it might be that you had a hard time sometime in your life. And maybe it wouldn't be so terrible if the children know that and the grandchildren know that.
And try to understand them.
And maybe you can help understand yourself. We are a bundle of imperfections, bound together by love. If we can accept our limitations and imperfections, maybe the love that we carry for ourselves and in the world might get bigger.
Wow. This is a great place to end, this episode. And we would like to thank everybody for sticking with us.
Thank you.
We hope
thank you for initiating this. It's so exciting.
I'm learning. I mean, half the time I'm listening. You're pouring into me so much wisdom, and I hope
thank you.
Into our listeners so much wisdom. I will be shopping around the world online and trying to get questions.
Good. And if you have a question, send it. If you disagree with me, let me know.
Feel free to disagree. This
is how the conversation goes.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to be telling you all about where to send your questions to, so that we can have a two-way conversation. I have been thoroughly blessed by the wisdom I have soaked in today, and I know it's going to make me a better person. And I hope you felt great sharing all of those things with
Yes.
me and with our listeners too.
Well, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on the ride with us. Jane and I would like to hear from you. Please send your comments to thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to the Grannies Podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.